Hello everyone, sorry for the same outfit. You're probably sick of seeing it, but yeah, I don't know. Today's video is going to be tips on how to get out of a reading slump, or actually just reading slumps in general. I have been getting a lot of questions recently about how to get out of a reading slump, how do you know you're in a reading slump, all that kind of stuff, so I thought I would address it in this video. Now, first and foremost, I am not an expert at all at reading slumps. I would probably say I'm the person that you probably would not want to come to for advice on it, because I've been in quite a few reading slumps, but you know, you guys asked, and here is my 100% full, honest opinion. So I'm just going to try to give you guys 5 tips about reading slumps, but first, before I even start, I just want to talk about reading slumps. Now, to me, what I think of a reading slump is when I start a book and it has a very slow pace for me, and I just get in a reading slump because of that. And what happens is, I think, when you read a slow-paced book and you're not into it, that just does something with your brain or something, and you put that book down and then you try to read another book and you're just like, I just can't read right now. And I'm sure it's happened to everyone out there. I think technically that's what a reading slump is. I don't know if there is a definition for it. That's to me what it is. When a reading slump is just when you can't read. When you want to read, but you just can't find a book that'll satisfy your need to read. And I don't think a reading slump is when you're just sitting and when you don't want to read and you're not reading. That is just, you're not wanting to read, so it's not a reading slump, you know what I'm saying? That is what it is to me. And I just want to share with you guys some statistics. If I said that right. Statistics. I have found a website about reading statistics, and I just want to share with you guys, because a lot of you guys out there that say, I only read 3 books this month, I only read like 300 pages during the booktubeathon, and you're down on yourselves. I do not want you to be like that. That's not the case. Sure, there are tons of people out there that can read 10 books a month, every month, and that's awesome. That's high five to them. But a lot of people out there cannot do that, and if you read 2 books a month, that's still amazing. If you read 1 book a month, that is amazing. And why I'm saying that, I'm going to prove it to you right now. There's a website I found, I will link it down below, and it has reading statistics. If I pronounce it wrong, don't get mad at me. We have percentages about readings, like the total percentage of U.S. high school graduates who will never read a book after high school, 33%. That's quite a lot when you think about how big the U.S. is. That's a lot. Total percentage of college students who will never read another book after they graduate, 42%. It jumps up after they graduate college. This one really gets me. Total percentage of U.S. families who did not buy a book this year. 80%, guys. 80% of families in the U.S. have not even bought a book this year. 80%. That's a lot. If you have read a book this year, if your family has bought a book this year, you are out of the norm. You're not in the normal, you are out of the normal. That's a big deal. Percentage of adults that have never been in a bookstore in the past 5 years, 70%. 70% of your guys' parents have never stepped in a bookstore in the past 5 years. Isn't that crazy? I don't think my mom would have if it wasn't for me. I don't think my husband would have if it wasn't for me. You know, people, a lot of people out there do not read. And I like this one right here. Total amount of words read annually by a person who reads 15 minutes a day. If you guys read 15 minutes a day, you will read 1 million words in your lifetime, I think. Like that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. I don't know how the 1 million scales, like from your life or from, I don't know. But yeah, I just want to share with you guys some statistics that reading is not normal out there nowadays. I believe that there's a lot of young adults out there that read a lot, and I commend BookTube for that. I commend just great books for that. I think that is awesome. I'm very happy about it. But overall, I think there's not a lot of people out there that read. So if you're reading at all, even if it's a page a day, you are still doing tremendously. You're reading. You are, you know, you're not in the normal, apparently, according to statistics. You're not normal, you know what I'm saying? I just want to share with you guys that, you know, don't beat up yourself if you are not reading a lot and you're mad about it. You're reading something, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters. Motivational speech over. On to the tips. First tip for you is to put down that book. Like, if you are reading a book and you're getting slowly through it and you're not enjoying it, it's not doing you any favors. So put it down. You need to just let it be for a while. I have done that with several books. You know, some books are just not meant to be read at that particular moment. That's my first tip, I'd say, is just to put it down. Second tip is to take a break. Sometimes when you read too much, or sometimes you just read, I don't know, you just need a break from reading. Your brain might get fried, I don't know. You know, it could be a day break, it could be a week break, however long you think you need. And you know, there's no particular set time, I say, to say, today is the day I'm going to pick up reading. It's whenever you really feel like it. If you're in a slump and you are constantly trying to start books, like if you have a pile of, these are random books by the way, if you have a pile of these books and you just have started reading them all and you're not in the mood for all of them, take a break from reading. Just take a break. Maybe that's what your brain's telling you, that it needs to needs to rest a little bit. So I feel that's okay to take breaks from reading. I've done it. I think everyone should do it if you just need to take a break and chillax with reading. Number 3, pick up a random book. I think a lot of times I will say to pick up a book you've been pining after, but sometimes a book you've been pining after may not be the key to getting out of that reading slump. It could be throwing you right back in it. You don't want to pick up a coveted book that you've been obsessed with, and what if you don't like it? You know, that's not good. I'd say pick a random book, you know, just go to your shelf and just say, I think I'll read this. If that doesn't work out for you, pick another one until you find one you think that you would like, you know? And maybe that's not the best advice, but I think that's what I do if I'm in a reading slump. I will just go up to my shelf and just be like, this looks decent, and just start it, you know? I won't go to one that I have been savoring, because what happens if I'm in a slump and that would ruin it, you know? Just pick up one at random. 4, an audiobook. Yes, you're probably like, what? This is not a good use of advice, but I am a fan of audiobooks. I love listening to audiobooks when I'm driving. I love listening to them when I'm just sitting at home, when I don't feel like reading, but I feel like listening to something. I'm still technically reading because I'm listening to an audiobook. I think an audiobook is a great way to break the format of just typical reading, you know, reading them face to face, no, reading them like, you know, opening a book up. I think audiobooks are a really nice break from normal reading, you know, you just get to listen to it. Especially books. I love listening to audiobooks told from first person, like hearing their thoughts and the narrator. I love that. I adore it. I've listened to 3 audiobooks in my life, and you know, pick up one that would be funny maybe. Mindy Kaling's a great audiobook. Ellen DeGeneres is a great audiobook. I've read Tina Fey's book, but I would love to listen to it audiobook wise. Listen to those because those are actually told by, you know, the person that wrote them. So that's great. I think audiobook is a cool thing to do. It may not be the best for all of you guys, but I love them. 5, once again, I'm going to say, step away from reading. I put this in here twice because I think people try to force themselves to read. And that's not the case if you're in a slump, or if you're going into a slump or whatever. Maybe you need to take a break. Maybe you need to take a break. I know for the last 2 days BookTube was on, I didn't read a lick because I got fried out of reading. Like, I just was like, ugh, I don't even want to do it anymore. And I had to take a break from it because my brain was just like, I'm done. I am done for the week. And I think that's important, especially if you're in a book, if you're reading a book that you're just not loving. Step away from reading for a little bit, you know, just take a break for a little bit. I think that's the main thing. Those are my 5 tips for getting out of reading slump. I hope they were decent. Those are the 5 things I could think of. You know, and are reading slumps real? Do they exist? I don't know, but this is just what I think of them and how maybe that could help spruce up your reading. And remember, if you're reading a page a day, if not a sentence a day, you're still doing awesome. You're not the normal. You're breaking the norm, is that I think they call that. But so yeah, you're still doing awesome. And I just want you guys to know that if you're reading, you're doing fantabulous. Fantabulous? You're doing amazing. And yeah, I hope that helped, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.
And you caught me by surprise when you spoke with certainty. You said, darling, I just don't know